Hello and good afternoon to all students. Today we will see disposal of waste. Myself Dr. Rutuja, Associate Professor, Department of Community Medicine. Last time we had seen water and its disposal. So today we will see disposal of waste. The learning objectives for this lecture are that by the end you should be knowing sources of refuse, methods of disposal of refuse, methods of excreta disposal, modern sewage treatment, and methods of sewage disposal. So the main domain is for waste disposal is of sanitarians and public health experts. So if it is not properly disposed, that is if there is improper waste disposal, it will lead to health hazard. So we are here to give an expert opinion in special situations like camps, sanitation, natural disasters, when breakdown of routine services is there. So what do you mean by waste? Waste is classified into two types. One is solid waste, also called as refuse, and second is liquid waste. Solid waste or refuse is garbage, that is food waste, rubbish, that is paper, plastic, metal, throwaway containers, dead animals, manure, and ash. Ash is the residue from burning of wood, coal, charcoal, and other combustible materials. So all this forms solid waste or refuse, but it does not contain the night soil. So according to definition, the waste without night soil is called as solid waste or refuse. Now the output of the waste, it mainly depends upon the dietary habit of the public, their lifestyle, their living standards, and urbanization and industrialization. So altogether, if we will calculate the waste, that is solid waste, it will be like 0.25 to 2.5 kg per capita depending upon various lifestyle of the person living in that area. So what are the health hazards which are related to this waste? First is the decomposition of this waste. It favors the fly breeding. Due to flies, everyone knows there are foodborne diseases like typhoid, you say, cholera, etc. It also attracts rodents and vermin. Rodents like rats. So it will again give health hazard or disease. Soil pollution, water pollution, and last one is nuisance from the bad odor and unsightly appearance. Then mainly what are the sources of refuse? That is the solid waste. Okay. So main sources are street refuse, the one which we get on streets, market refuse, stable litter, industrial refuse, and domestic. Domestic is household. Okay. Then how we will manage this waste? How we have to manage it? So the first one is to store it. Second is to do collection properly, and then all this collected waste is disposed somewhere. So there are various methods to dispose it. So what do you mean by storage? That is, we will store all our domestic waste, that is at the household level, in dustbins, right? So it is stored at one place. From there, everyone knows that there is a municipality vehicle which will come to house, door to door to take the various solid waste from the houses. So it is the collector. So here collection is done, and from there it will dispose. So it is disposal. So the three main things in waste management or waste disposal is storage, collection, and disposal. And all these three steps should be done properly and hygienically. If not done, then it will lead to various diseases. So first is storage of waste. So how do we store it then? So there are various methods to store the waste. Galvanized steel dustbins are there, which are close fitted cover. So it is very important, whatever dustbin you are using, it should be having a fitting cover. This galvanized steel dustbin can be used for a capacity of 5 family members. It is 1.5 cubic feet and it can collect the garbage from the house for 3 days. Others are paper sack. Sack itself is removed with content for disposal and a new sack is substituted. The main drawback for paper sack is we cannot put anything which is little wet or liquid. Okay, so it will tear off. So in our place we will use this black bags or green bags, right? So along with the bags it is disposed. Third one is public bins. This too, that is the galvanized steel dustbins you say or paper bags, these were for individual houses. Public means are there which are for the community or for that gully you say. So it is kept on a concrete platform which is raised 2 to 3 inches above the ground level, so that due to this waste the soil pollution should not occur, and it should be fitted with a proper cover. It should not be open like this, okay, or not thrown just like that. It should be in this way. Properly fitted cover should be there, and all the people should come and put their garbage in these bins. Okay, they should not throw it like this. This comes storage. Okay, now the next one is collection of waste. So how do we collect? So there are various methods to collect. So house to house collection, this is the best method. Here also everyone knows that everyone's house there is a municipality truck which will come. It is a closed truck. It should be a closed truck basically, which will not give any problem for the waste. Okay, so it is best it will come house to house and collect the stored garbage. Second one is open refuse carts. So there are some carts also, these are open ones, so this is not proper. Everyone will come and throw their garbage or you say solid waste in it, but this is not proper. So how it should be? It should be dustless refuse collectors. So like this, closed ones. Okay. So we have done collection also. Now the main part is methods of disposal. So these methods are divided into two main types, that is insanitary methods and sanitary methods. Insanitary methods should not be used basically because it will again give rise to various number of diseases. Usually sanitary method should be used. So insanitary methods are like hog feeding and dumping. Sanitary methods are like sanitary landfills, controlled tipping or composting or incineration, manure pits or burial. We will see all of this in. So what do you mean by hog feeding? See here, all the waste is given to them to feed. So this is insanitary method. This may lead to number of diseases even in animals as well as the human beings. Then comes dumping. So what do you mean by dumping? The refuse or the solid waste is dumped in low-lying area. Okay, directly some lands or areas outside the human dwellings, they will search for a land and there they will directly put this refuse. So in this what will happen? The bacteria will reduce the volume of the waste and humus will be formed. The only plus point of it is that this humus or this land which is made after that, it can be used for cultivation. It is good for agricultural purposes. But there are various disadvantages also. So here you can see the dumping areas. So these are just the lands and here they will throw all this collected garbage, solid waste and refuse. Here you can see the animals, the man taking the garbage through here. So it is a very big public health hazard. So what are the disadvantages then? So main disadvantages are it is exposed to rodents and flies. Second is it can be dispersed everywhere due to the wind. It causes nuisance, smell and unsightly appearance. It causes surface pollution, that is land pollution, as well as water pollution. So this is the most insanitary method given by. Then sanitary methods. In that first one is sanitary landfill. or it is also called as controlled tipping. So in this, it is the most satisfactory method of disposal. What we do in this is, it is adequately compacted refuse which is placed in trenches, or the land is dug and there we can put the solid waste. Again it is covered with earth. Earth means the soil at the end of the working day. So there are three methods in this. First one is trench method, second one is area method, and third one is ramp method. Trench and area method is that we have to take only the plain area, that is a plateau area, a mountain area. So if it is an hilly or, then the ramp method can be used. Process, what happens there is chemical, bacteriological and physical changes which occur in the refuse, and due to which the refuse is degraded and it is made and used. So what is the mechanism? So firstly, that is first 7 days, the temperature will rise up to 60 degrees. Due to this increase in temperature, it will kill all the bacteria and pathogens in the refuse and hasten the decomposition process. Okay. In next 2 to 3 weeks, this all temperature which has increased will cool down, and in next 4 to 6 months it will be decomposition will occur to the fullest and humus formation will be seen, and this humus can be used for cultivation of agricultural processes. Then comes the next method, that is called as incineration. This is a high temperature dioxidation process. This reduces the organic and combustible waste to inorganic and incombustible matter and result in a very significant reduction of volume and weight. So incinerators are mainly used in hospitals. Okay, so here what we do is, directly in high temperature we will burn the refuse or the solid waste, due to which we will get burnt ash and gases. So this is the disadvantage for incinerators. You will see that. So this is suitable for the areas where land is not available for sanitary landfills. The mainly seen in hospitals or tertiary care centers. The disadvantage is it is very expensive, no useful byproduct. That is, like in landfills we can see that humus is formed or the manure is formed that can be used for agricultural processes. But here there is ash, so ash can't be used in any purpose. And secondly, the gases or the fumes which are released, it can cause air pollution. Then comes the third method, that is called as composting. So composting is, it is a composite disposal method of refuse and night soil. So till now in both the things we were not using night soil, but here in composting night soil can also be disposed. Okay. Here what happens then, all this organic matter in this, the bacterial action takes place, temperature increases, pathogens are killed and humus is formed, that is called as compost, and carbon dioxide, water and heat. So 60-degree heat is generated and which will destroy the pathogenic agents. So there are two types of composting. One is Bangalore method, second one is mechanical method. Bangalore method works in anaerobic conditions, so it is also called as anaerobic method, and mechanical method works in aerobic, that is it needs oxygen, so it is called as aerobic method. So this is the Bangalore method. What we do here is, we will dig a pot in the earth, or you say we have a big rectangular box. In that 15 centimeter layer of refuse is put, then 5 centimeter of night soil, then again followed by 15 centimeter refuse, then 5 centimeter layer of a night soil, and last one is 25 centimeter of refuse, and above that we will put the soil. Okay, and then we will allow it to compost. In mechanical composition, what we do, composting, what we do, the refuse is first screened, okay, in pulverizing equipment. Then this refuse which we get out of it, it is added with sewage, sludge and night soil. Okay, it is incubated, that is, it is mechanical method, so there are no bacteria. In the previous method it was the bacteria which was increasing the temperature. In here there is nothing like that, so we have to incubate, maintain the temperature, pH, aeration and moisture control, and after 4 to 6 weeks complete composting. Then comes manure pits. So this is mainly used in rural areas for individual households. So there are pits which are dug in the earth. Usually there should be two pits. It is covered with earth after each day's dumping. So we will dump all the waste in that. Above that, soil layer will be kept. Okay. So within 5 to 6 months, decomposed refuse is formed, and that can be used as a fertilizer in farms. Okay, so here you can see the lady, this is the cow dung and this is a manure pit for a cow dung. Okay, so after each use we have to put the soil layer and till it fills. Okay, once it fills, then it has to be kept as it is for 5 to 6 months, and after that the manure which we get, it is very rich and it can be used as a food. Then comes one more method that is called as burial, and this is suitable for small settlement or for camps. So if we go outside for camping or for 2 or 3 days stay, so here we can use this burial method. In this same like trench, in this trench is dug and filled with the soil at the end of the day. So here you can see a trench is dug which is 2 meters deep in the soil and 1.5 meters in the width. Okay, so here there is, you can see a layer of waste and 20 to 30 centimeter layer of soil. So after usage, after each usage, you have to just cover it with the soil layer accordingly till the top. Okay, last layer is earth layer. Decomposed matter may be ready for use as manure within 4 to 6 months. So every 200% one trench can be used. Then comes methods for excreta disposal. So what is the public health importance? If we will not dispose it properly, what will happen? It may cause water pollution, it may cause soil pollution, it may cause contamination of food and drinks, which may lead to foodborne diseases and waterborne diseases, and it causes nuisance. It again causes propagation of flies, which lead to foodborne diseases like typhoid, paratyphoid, fever, dysentery, diarrhea, cholera, hookworm diseases, scariasis, and viral hepatitis. So this is the cycle, the mode of spread of all this fecal matter to the man. This is a protected host, a man. Okay. So how it goes to the man? So this is the vector which will take all this fecal matter towards man. So how it goes? It may be by water, it may be by fingers, maybe by flies, soil and food. So what we can do is we can maintain one barrier in between this. So if we maintain a barrier, so this fecal matter will not reach till these vectors, and from this vector it won't go to the susceptible, or you say a host or a man. So that barrier is called as a sanitation barrier. If a sanitation barrier is maintained between this, then obviously from the source the infection won't go to the host. So what do you mean by sanitation barrier then? It is the barrier of hygiene that prevents contacts between contaminated matter and susceptible host. Okay, to maintain this, then what we have is sanitary latrines. Okay, so sanitary latrines which are used nowadays, it has a water seal type. So it is also called as water seal type sanitary latrines. Why it is water seal? What are the plus points? That it prevents access by flies and it prevents odor and foul gases. So you might have seen our daily using sanitary latrines. So it has water filled in. Okay. So it is called as water seal type. So this is the ground level. Okay. Here it is the pan. It is called as collection pan. Depth of the seal. Okay. And this is the water trap, and here it will be disposed into the septic tank. Here the pipe is attached to septic tank. Septic tank. This is biogas plant, same like septic tank, but in this we will use the cow dung. Okay, and the methane which is produced in this is used for cooking. Everyone knows about it. So this is the mixing tank where the biogas waste which we have to put is mixed here, and there is an inlet pipe which is put directly into the tank. Here again anaerobic digestion will occur, and due to which methane gas is produced, and from this valve you can see outside we can give it towards the gas stove, or we can use it in industries also. So this is the upper part of the biogas plant. So biogas is produced by anaerobic breakdown of solid waste and excreta. Biogas, methane, carbon dioxide and hydrogen can be used as a fuel for heating purposes such as cooking. Then comes sewage disposal. So what is sewage? What is sulage? So sewage is wastewater from a community containing solid liquid excreta derived from houses and streets. And sulage is wastewater which does not contain human excreta. So the difference between two is that sulage doesn't contain human excreta and sewage contains every waste. Okay, every waste. So sulage is like the wastewater which is coming from kitchens, bathrooms, but not the toilets. Then what do you mean by amount of sewage? So it is the amount of sewage which flow through the sewerage system in 24 hours. So it is called as dry weather flow. Then what is the composition of sewage? So majorly sewage contains 99.9% of water, 0.1% of solids. In solid it is organic and inorganic solids. It is offensive odor due to decomposition of organic matter. It is said that 1 gram of feces may contain 1000 millions of E. coli, 100 million feces streptococci, and 10 million spores of Clostridium perfringens. So what is the aim of sewage purification? Why do we do it? So we do it to stabilize the organic matter and to convert the sewage water into effluent of an acceptable standards of purity, safely dispose of into land or river. So strength of sewage is to indicate the organic matter. What do you mean by BOD? That is biochemical oxygen demand. So it is defined as the amount of oxygen absorbed by a sample of sewage during specified period, that is 5 days, at a specific temperature, that is 20 degrees centigrade, for aerobic destruction. So BOD means what? For aerobic destruction या फिर aerobic degradation, what is the amount of oxygen which is required? So it is for a specified period and specific temperature. We will keep a portion of the sewage and we will see how much oxygen is needed. So range of biochemical oxygen demand is 1 milligram per liter of natural water to 300 milligram per liter of untreated domestic water. So we say that if this BOD is more than 300 milligram per liter, then it is a strong sewage, and if it is less than 100 milligram per liter, then it is a weak. So as I have told you, the decomposition of organic matter takes place in two ways, that is aerobic process and an anaerobic process. The aerobic process is the one which needs oxygen, anaerobic is one which doesn't need. In aerobic process, it is more efficient and the end products are carbon dioxide, water, ammonia, nitrates and nitrites. And in anaerobic process, it is highly effective, it is concentrated with solids, end products are methane, ammonia, carbon dioxide and hydrogen. Then nowadays the one which is used to treat the sewage is modern sewage treatment plant. So nowadays which we use, okay. So there are two stages in modern sewage treatment plant. First one is primary treatment and second is secondary treatment. So in primary treatment, what we do basically, we will screen the flow or the sewage whichever is coming for the treatment. So anaerobic process and separation of solid by screening and sedimentation. Secondary treatment is in this the remaining part. After primary treatment, whatever is remaining, that is the liquid portion, is the effluent which will undergo aerobic oxidation. So here you can see that sewage is coming. Here there is screening. So screening is done by usually the nets you say or bars, steel bars. Okay. From here it will go to grid chamber. and primary sedimentation tank. Till here it is the primary treatment. Okay, in primary sedimentation tank, anaerobic degradation of the sewage will occur. After that, the sewage or the remnant of primary treatment will go for biological treatment from their final sedimentation tank. So here biological treatment will occur and it is called as aerobic oxidation. Okay, and from here it will go to sludge digester. If sludge is there, sludge will be removed and it can be used for landfilling usage or dry bedding, and gas which is produced is called as methane gas, and the remnant liquid which is now stable inorganic is directly disposed or off into the rivers. So primary treatment. So here this you can see, these are the steel bars and the chains which are used for screening. Okay, so this consists of a vertical or inclined bar set apart 5 centimeters or 2 inches apart. Okay, so a distance of 5 centimeters is there between two bars. Why do we do screening? We do this to remove large floating objects like woods, masses of garbage and dead animals. Why we have to do this? Because it may prevent clogging, to prevent the clogging of treatment plant, because if these big objects, if these big floating objects will remain there, then obviously the secondary treatment will not occur. So here you can see the bars. Okay, so this is the screening, the first part. Then comes the grid chamber. See here you can see the sewage is coming. See there were large bodies which were screened by the bars, and from here the remnant of it is coming. Okay, so what is a grid chamber? It is a 10 by 20, 10 to 20 feet length big chamber in which the sewage will come at a velocity of 1 foot per second. So it will come very slowly with detention time, that is it will remain there for a period of 30 seconds to 1 minute. What will happen then? So due to this there will be sedimentation, you say, or settlement of solids like sands and gravels. Grit collected at the bottom, removed periodically and disposed by dumping. So this grit which is collected, or the screen after screening also, whatever is collected, we have to dispose it by dumping. Okay, from this grit chamber, the remaining, it will be measured now liquid part, because all the solid parts are screened at the bars and secondly in the grit chamber. So now it is all the liquid which is called as effluent. Okay, it will go into the sedimentation. So what is primary sedimentation tank then? It is a rectangular tank. In this, the velocity of the sewage is 1 feet per minute and the detention time is 6 to 8 hours. Purification, nearly 70 to 80% of solids are settled down and 30 to 40% reduction in coliform. Okay, so bacteriologically also it will reduce and solids have also reduced. Okay, so that is the volume will also reduce and the organic matter will also reduce. So organic matter settles down is called as sludge. The grid chamber what I have shown you, it is called as sludge. Okay, scum is what? It is the top layer made up of fat and grease. I have showed you this in septic tank also. So from here all the remaining which is there, that is effluent, or you say short, the one which is not having solid waste in it, the liquid part, it will go into the secondary treatment now. So in secondary treatment, first thing is the biological treatment. It can be done by various two methods, that is trickling filter method or activated sludge process. Filter method. See here you can see the trickling filter method. What is this? So it is a circular or a rectangular portion in which a bed of crushed stones is kept. So these are all crushed stones, and the effluent or the liquid which is coming from primary sedimentation tank will go through these pipes on these stones. See here you can see. Effluent from the primary sedimentation tank is sprinkled uniformly on the surface using revolving device. Okay, so if it is a circular one, so we will be putting all this effluent on these crushed stones. What will it do then? On these crushed stones, there will be a biological layer of algae, fungus, protozoa bacteria, and due to which there will be oxidation of this effluent. This is also, that layer is also called as Zubriel layer. Okay, so here there will be oxidation of the effluent, and from here the water will drip down and there will be pipes underneath. Okay, so the percolated water which will come down is the purest form of the water, and that can be disposed of directly into the river. Now see, this is the close view. Here you can see these are the crushed stones, and this is the effluent which we are sprinkling overall. And this greenish layer what you see is, this is called as Zubriel. Now the other method also I have told you, that is called as activated sludge process, ASP. So the heart of ASP is aeration tank. Okay, so what we do here is we will mix the primary sedimentation tank waste, that is called as effluent, in oxygen, or we will aerate it. Okay, so effluent from primary sedimentation tank is mixed with air by mechanical oscillation or compressed air in aeration tank. So accelerate aerobic oxidation. So this will give aerobic oxidation and reduce the organic matter. So comparing the two, this is the trickling filter and this is activated sludge process. So here you can see that trickling filters need more large space, whereas activated sludge process needs a smaller space. Here there is only one plant. Here you can see it is 1, 2, 3, 4 and n number. Okay. Then trickling filter is the advantage is that it is easier to operate and cheaper to install. In activated sludge, it requires skilled operations. Trickling filter method is, it can be used for smaller towns, whereas activated sludge process, it is suitable for large cities. From here, this was all biological. Okay, from here then again it will go forward, that is called as secondary sedimentation tank. Here what will happen then, oxidized sewage from trickling filter or aeration tank will go to secondary sedimentation tank. Here it will stay for 2 to 3 hours. Due to this, the sludge will settle down, that is aerated sludge or activated sludge. It is inoffensive and can be used as a manure now. This sludge will, whatever is collected in this secondary sedimentation tank. Effluent after chlorination can be disposed into river or streams. Then one more thing I have showed you, that is sludge digester. See here, that is, this is the screen, grid chamber and primary settling tank. Till here it was all the primary method. Okay, from here then the secondary one, there is aeration. So for aeration we were using two things. One was biological method, in that trickling filters and activated sludge process. Okay, then secondary settling tank, from here you will get the sludge and liquid. So liquid can be chlorinated and directly disposed to the river. Okay, and the other thing, that is the sludge what we were getting, it was put into sludge digester, and from here again it was processed and can be used as a manure. So sludge digester is 1 million gallons of sewage produces 15 to 20 tons of sludge. So this sludge is then incubated. It will again undergo auto digestion, which will produce carbon monoxide, ammonia, methane, and this methane can be used for heating. Then what are the other methods of sewage disposal then? Sea outfall, that is directly putting into the sea. River outfall, that is directly putting into the river. Land treatment, same like landfills, trench was made, same here also trenches are made and we can put this disposal directly into the land. Oxidation pond and oxidation ditches. So we will see oxidation pond. So here you can see the oxidation pond or waste stabilization pond. This you might have seen at various places. So how does it work? See here, raw waste or the sewage waste which is coming, here it will come. This pond has bacteria. So bacteria will mix with oxygen, degrade the waste and form carbon dioxide, ammonia, phosphate and water. So where this oxygen comes to bacteria? It is the algae which is present in the water which will give the oxygen. Okay. So this is hand in hand work. Algae will give oxygen, bacteria will act with oxygen and reduce the raw waste or the sewage waste and produce carbon dioxide, ammonia, phosphate and water. This carbon dioxide and ammonia will again be taken by algae and produce more algae and give oxygen more. Okay, so here you can see algae will give oxygen from here bacteria and it will give carbon dioxide. It is a vicious circle. So this is the daytime process. Okay, when there is sunlight, with the help of sun and oxygen, algae with the help of sunlight, algae will produce oxygen, and at the right time, it will be the anaerobic degradation of the waste. So this is in oxidation pond. There are two ways. One is aerobic and one is anaerobic. Okay. Then comes last one is soakage pit. So what do you mean by soakage pit? Now we have seen for sewage, we have seen for excreta, we have seen for the sewage. But what about the kitchen or the bathroom waste or the industrial waste? So there is the soakage pit for that. That is disposal of the liquid waste, waste from kitchen, bathroom and industrial wastewater. So the mechanism here is biological degradation or mechanical spraying. In biological degradation, the soulage I have told you the definition before that it doesn't contain the nitrile. Okay, soulage attached to the surface of the stones. So directly this will be put into the soakage pit, that is the water which is coming from kitchen or bathroom, and mechanical spray. Here you can see that this is the inlet or the pipe which is directly throwing the water into the pit, and this is the soakage pit. Okay, this is the earth cushion and this is the layering, the gravel layering of the stones. From here the water will percolate. Same process, Zuglier layer is there which will degrade the organisms and make the water and purify the water. Okay, and from here the water will be collected and it can be treated and directly disposed into the river or